6 o'clock, I'd like to please call the meeting to order.
McCaig,
Here.
Wertz,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Rust,
Here.
Trent,
Here.
Griffin,
Here.
Ware,
Here.
Campbell.
Before we do the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd like to do a moment of silence for all the people, the victims to the Hurricane Helene, and the people that are in trouble with the Hurricane Milton tonight. It's a natural disaster. There have been a lot of people's lives lost and a lot of damage. I'd like to everybody just a moment of silence, please. Okay, I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Now it's time for public comment. Do we have anybody wishing to address the board? The format for the board is everyone's given 3 minutes to address the board. Is there anybody? Nobody. Seeing nobody, we'll move on.
Healthcare Vision 2025 by Kyle Nittman.
Thanks, Kyle. Thank you. My name is Kyle Knietman, and this is Alina Junkmeyer. We're here from your benefits broker and consultant, the MJ Companies. And here tonight, we just wanted to provide a vision update for 2025, a post-enrollment update from our recent 7-1 renewal, as well as our timeline and initiatives for the 2024-2025 plan year. So with that, I'll turn it over to Alina just to walk through some of our data and findings on a post-enrollment basis.
Good evening, everybody. The first few slides we're going to go through today is going to just be a financial overview of the prior year plan. So the benefit plan runs from July 1st, 2023, and it ended June 30th, 2024. So that's the time frame that we're going to be looking at in this slide. So in the upper left-hand corner here, let's see if this guy works, right over here, is really how our budget ended for the end of that plan year. So we ended at a 90% loss ratio. So what that means is for every dollar that we paid Cigna, they paid out 90 cents in claims and admin fees for our plan. So that would have left us with a surplus of $354,000 for the year. Because of how our plan is funded, this money goes back to Cigna. So this is something that we're going to look to evaluate for 2025 plan year to see if there's a way that we can structure our plan to take advantage of any surpluses that we have on a go-forward basis. The next quadrant down is going to show our total plan spend. So our total plan spend between the employer and the employee is going to be about $3 million. This falls into a few different buckets. The first bucket is going to be total claims. So this is really what we pay out in healthcare and pharmacy spend for the individuals that are covered on the plan. This is usually always the biggest bucket of money that we pay on a healthcare plan. The next bucket of money is going to be our total fixed cost. So we would think of this as what are we paying Cigna to adjudicate our claims, to have that network access, and for any reinsurance fees that are part of our plan. The estimated reimbursements are really reimbursements that we get from a stop loss, so that anybody that reaches a certain limit, we get reimbursed on the plan. And then the last is going to be the employee plan spend, so the contributions that we collect from employees on the plan. When we toggle over to the right-hand side, we're going to see our enrollment. The average enrollment on our plan for that time is 264 employees, and total dependents, so belly buttons covered on the plan, is 351. When we look at the numbers this year, it's gone up slightly for dependents. We have less spouses and more dependent children, which I think was attributed to how we structured the contributions this year. In healthcare, having dependent children on your plan is the best risk. They're the lowest cost type of claimant that you can have on the plan, so advantageous for the plan, and something we hope to see continue year over year. The most threatening thing in healthcare costs are large claimants. They typically make up at least 1/3 to sometimes 2/3 of the full plan costs. So we really look at two different things when we look at large claimants. We look at how many we have and the severity of their claims. Are they ongoing or are they episodic claims? And how is that going to affect our budget and our budget planning for the next year to follow? Last year we had 10 large claims, which means they had claims up to $50,000 on the plan. And we had 4 people that went over $100,000 on the plan. That bottom is going to be just how much we paid over spec claims, which is over $100,000 on the plan. Any questions? Okay. This is going to be our budget summary. So you'll see that line in black is how we budget for our plan every year. We're on technically a very static plan is how we pay. And then the line in blue is going to be how our claims actually fall. So there's really a lot of ebbs and flows in healthcare and how our claims are paid month over month, which is a consideration that we really look at when we look at different funding strategies and cash flow for the organization. So right now we just know, hey, our bill is going to be about X amount of dollars every month, and we budget to that, and we pay that amount, and Cigna takes the risk for the other part of that. The blue is really, hey, sometimes we have great months and sometimes we have advantageous months where we win and we lose some months, and we really hope at the end of that year it equals close to that black line. A lot of times we see that happen. This is just going to be an overview of the decisions that we made last year and kind of how our plan ended up. So we had a 10% increase from Cigna. We moved to a 4-tier structure, so that was, again, advantageous to those dependents, trying to really incent some more dependent children onto our plan. We changed our contribution strategy. We took an additional 2% of costs over. This really was, again, attributed to those dependent tiers. So we had a slight increase for employees on some plans, and then we had more contribution to our employee plus children tiers. On the dental, we increased the benefit on an out-of-network basis, which made a lot of employees very happy. So we're glad we were able to do that. And we also had a vision enhancement, which allowed employees to get actual eyeglass lenses every year versus every other year. On ancillary, we had a rate pass on our LTD, and we added a pet insurance plan as well, which has gotten a lot of great feedback. We also conducted a benefit survey last year. We did it only to a select group of people that were part of the benefit mover committee. That really helped us make decisions for the new plan year and also helped us shape our strategy going into 2025.
Thanks, Selena. So as we get into 2025, we had our first healthcare mover meeting yesterday with our committee, and next week we'll have from the feedback from that meeting, we'll have a survey that will go out to all Lewis and Clark employees about what they're looking for in the 2025 plan. So some of the things that we're evaluating both at the employee level and at the college level for next year is doing a self-funding marketing again. Previously, Lewis and Clark was on a self-funded plan. As Lena mentioned, we're now more on that static level funded arrangement because of some of the changes that we've seen in the market and the increases in pharmacy rebates and some of the programs that are out there and drug costs. We think it's prudent to at least evaluate that strategy for our 2024-2025 plan year. We're going to look at doing this in various structures of being self-funded on a standalone basis or looking at potentially grouping our risk with other companies and organizations in a captive environment. We're going to look at different carriers to do that and look at Cigna as well as our incumbent carrier. So our goal is to get out to market earlier this year and do some additional analysis on the pharmacy drug spend through some pharmacy repricing and some various prescription drug management companies out there to see what we can find as the best deals on the market for Lewis and Clark and our plan spend. We have noticed in the data that we have a pretty significant amount of spend in the brand drug category and also the specialty drug pharmacy category, which isn't unique to Lewis and Clark. It's the fastest part of growing trend in healthcare right now, and it's really a goal of mine and our team at MJ to try to look for strategies to best control that spend while continuing to offer great benefits and options to employees. Targeted communication. So we've really been able to, as being a newer consultant to Lewis and Clark here in the last 6 months, is really get into our data analytics tool called Aperture that we own at MJ and start to target in on some of our large spend areas within the Lewis and Clark population. We've seen, in addition to pharmacy and specialty drug, that musculoskeletal as well as diabetes are some areas where we're going to evaluate what we call point solutions or third-party solutions that could potentially help employees get lower cost care and better outcomes, and also be better for Lewis and Clark on a cost spend basis, where if we were in a partially self-funded environment, we would realize those savings directly. So those evaluations on those vendors will actually start after our discussions and the results of our survey next week, and we're going to start talking about with the Lewis and Clark team and getting feedback on some of those various vendors before we get to renewal time. As far as employee engagement, we've had some preliminary calls with the team and tying in the KB Cup to some of the wellness funds that we have with Cigna. We're going to try to continue getting those wellness funds regardless of the funding or carrier that we have in the future, and really looking to enhance the wellness program around some of the conditions specifically that we know that folks are dealing with within the population, and enhance that program to develop a great program that ties into the existing program today with the KB CREP. And then lastly, I'd mentioned the employee survey will go out next week. In addition to some feedback that we got from the mover team, we've got some great questions to ask around what other additional benefits, even if they were on a voluntary basis, would you like to see in our program? And it will probably be 15 to 18 questions, and from that we'll draw some great feedback to the team that will help us evaluate that strategy next year. And the results of the survey this year did really help us with our strategy. So that's what I had from an update perspective tonight. I'll open it up back to the board for any questions.
I do want to thank you and Alina. And just as a reminder, this is all started last year with some pivoting to a new broker to really start to just reimagine, recalibrate what we're doing with healthcare on Lewis and Clark's campus. So we're grateful for the leadership you've all provided and appreciate today's update. Thank you.
Thank you.
Enrollment update, Amir.
Good evening. Today, actually, I'm going to be providing our final update for the fall enrollment, which we also reported to ICCB. So I'm going to break it down a little bit so to you guys know, how we done it. For fall enrollment for 2024, we've seen 4,606 students, which were up about 10% compared to last year. The credit hours were 36,883, which also up about 5% compared to last year, 2023. Dual credit head counts is up also to 1,663, which is also up about 14.5% compared to last year. And the credit hour for dual credit, which accounted for 7,725, which are also up 11.94%. We have seen credit student not including the dual credit enrollments. We have 2,943 credit students this fall, which are also up 7.25% compared to last year, and taking 29,290 credit hours, which are also up 3.5% compared to last year. Nelson campus, there's a 365 enrolled students, which are also up 20%, 19.28% precisely, taking 3,477 credit hours, which are also up 13.81% compared to last year. Part of the reason for the drastic increase in core for students for the Nelson campus was student taking a lot of concurrent enrollment classes for this semester. Full-time students campus-wise increased 6.56% to 1,414, taking 116 credit hours, which also up 6.24%. Part-time students also increased by 11.26% to 3,192, taking 16,767 credit hours, up 3.9%. Enrollment and retention are the major focus for the college strategic plan under the KD1 initiative. Our goal is to increase billable credit hours by 2% year over year. And now since we have finalized our number, our main focus is for the spring now. We already started focusing to achieve our goal for spring. And the most thing is up, the event Discover Day is coming up on the October 14th, and that's our main event is coming up, and we are focusing also to organize that successful event. And as you know, the spring semester start for January 21st, and we are fully focused, and we have this great achievement, and the credit goes to every entire departments, from student affairs, student services, faculty. Especially I want to thank you, Laura Enlow, for the media services. They have done a tremendous job to promoting the college, promoting the marketing initiative, so thank you. And it was a college-wide effort. So we had a great success this semester, and we're gonna, with the positive approach, we're gonna have a great spring semester as well. Any questions?
Thank you, Amir. Sorry, Kevin has a question.
Just a quick question, you may not, and you may or may not know, but how are we, do you know how we're doing as compared to pre-COVID years?
Yes, we are not there yet. And I have the numbers in my office. I don't know top of my head, but we are heading towards the right direction. And I mean, we have seen increases in spring, last fall, spring, this fall, and the percentage we are increasing. And if we continue, by end of next year, maybe 2026, we'll get there. But like I said, we are not there yet. But if you need the numbers, I have those numbers. But like I said, we are moving towards the right direction.
Thank you, Amir.
Marketing and Public Relations, Dr. Artis.
All right. Well, I think the last time we gave you guys a marketing and PR update, we got to showcase our My Keith campaign that that David and Mike and Laura and her team produced. Tonight, I'm happy to say and proud to share with you that that campaign won a gold award at the National Council for Marketing and Public Relations District 3. And Laura Enlow is going to share a little bit more about that. She did attend the NCMPR District Conference, and you were in Ohio, Cleveland. Thank you. As well as we also earned a silver award and a bronze award for some of our other marketing offers. So I'm going to let Laura share all of those award details with you and introduce some of our team members who are helping make those awards come to campus.
Thank you, Lori. I just want to kind of go off of what Amir was talking about as far as pre-COVID numbers. This is like a whole new world. Pre-COVID, the things that worked back then aren't necessarily working now. So marketing and public relations is working on a whole bunch of new efforts, different ways to reach students and let them know about all the cool things that are going on at Lewis and Clark. As Lori mentioned, 3 of the things that we've done within the last year were recently awarded, medallion awards at the NCMPR conference. District 3 covers Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Wisconsin, and the Canadian province of Ontario. So there's more than 1,600 members in NCMPR from nearly 600 colleges across the U.S. and Canada. So it's a real honor to have won these awards. I'm going to give you a quick overview, and then I'm going to bring up some of the players that were key in making these things happen. So we won a bronze award for a computer-generated illustration that was used in a College for Kids design. I'm not going to go into that because I'll invite Tanja Jackson, our graphic designer, up in just a moment to tell you a little bit about that and show you her design. We won a silver award for a photo post that I did promoting Hiking Through the Holidays 2023. It was just a bunch of pictures that I went out and took on one of the opening nights, and I posted them, and people just went crazy sharing holiday lights pictures on social media. We ended up raising the average head count that was visiting the display each night was around 200 to 300, and we hit about 1,300 on our biggest night after that post was made, bringing about 5,000 different people to campus throughout the display. I don't have a visualization of that, but I would encourage you to visit Lewis and Clark's YouTube page and look up the A to Z episode from last week. Tanja and I were guests, as well as Mike and David, who also produce the podcast, and we talked about some of the behind the scenes that went into these efforts, and you can kind of see a visualization of everything that won. And then finally, our gold award went to the Discover Your Path video shorts that featured alumni ambassador Mike Teague that you guys have seen before. They showed all of the winning videos, and I'm super proud of our team because the video categories were really tough this year. So I think at this time I'll invite Tanja Jackson and David Olenbittle up to tell you a little bit about the awards that they won. And I just want to say thank you for being such good team members. Whoever wants to go first. Yeah, you show it all.
So the bronze award was for the Blazer Bikes. I'm sorry, I've been working on Blazer Bikes also. It's for the College for Kids. And so it was a original design that I put together, and it started from scratch. It was a sketch that started off with just a pencil and paper. The world that we're moving in right now with AI is very important to continue to keep our skills sharp, and we do that here at L&C. So started off with sketch and moved on to a vector-based program, and this is what we came up with. And so happy that it took award of bronze. So
She says we, but that was really all Tanja.
I'd have to say, you know, the name on the award is Lewis and Clark Community College. And so it's really nice to be appreciated for the hard work, but it really is a win for everyone, so, yeah.
There's mine.
He also got a big giant gold record, but I didn't
Yeah.
make him bring that.
Now, well, Tanja's right. They say Lewis and Clark on it because this is a very big team effort. When I got involved, I'm the editor, producer, and I shot the thing. But before we even started, I reached out to Laura and I said, hey, do we have a gimbal? I had never really used a gimbal before that, but I had an idea for it. So she said, you tell me what we need. She made sure I had it. Then we go out to Atlanta. Dr. T was there and he helped with the process. Mike Lemon's over here, whose idea this was to begin with. The entire thing was Mike's idea. But this was a collaboration, a fully collaborative effort. We went out and I shot 600 gigabytes of footage, which is about 15 hours that I had to comb through to then put it together. So it was a ton of stuff. And now, truth be told, what you might have seen in the commercial, those were all the good takes. The rest of the stuff was probably a bad job on my part, actually working the gimbal or bumping my elbow into something. So that's where all that footage comes up from. So director's cut, maybe that'll come out in 2025 or something if I have time to do it, which I won't. But there's other people than just me, Laura, Dr. T, and Mike involved. Dr. Sue Serwinski was important in it. Laura Inlow, of course, Dr. Lori Artis, Randy Gallagher. Lots of folks really made all this come together. And if you'd like to see all of them in their entirety, the complete, I think we ended up with 8 or 9, they're in a playlist on Lewis and Clark's YouTube page, and they are very cool, and we're very happy with our gold award and our gold record sitting over in the radio station. So thanks for the opportunity, and let me take everyone's time talking tonight. Thanks.
And I just want to add that the national competition will be happening in the spring, and we plan on entering all 3 of those projects, as well as some other projects that we've done that we feel are a big hit. We have a lot of things going on at all given times to support Key Direction 1, which is, of course, enrollment and retention, but also promoting new programs under Key Direction 2, promoting different community and campus events for Key Direction 3. We are in the process right now of a new effort that is a directed email blast that we're doing with Hearst Media that is sending a Discover Day invite to about 62,000 emails in our district. It's getting a lot of good engagement, so I look forward to sharing some of those stats with you guys, and hopefully we have a really good turnout. So again, we couldn't do this without the entire team and the entire campus team, so I just want to say thanks.
I should also add, if it's okay, Chairman, before we move forward, is the original sort of idea is really born from the idea of faculty like Mike and multiple other faculty who have taken on that challenge with our teaching engagement process. And this is one of the goals Mike had, was to sort of revitalize his program, and this is a component of that. There'll be more on this later, but I think it's important to, right now show that we have other really nice successes, but this is what it's all about. And the thing that I really love about it, and everybody pointed to this, it was focused on a program, but ultimately it's impacted the college, and that's what's most important. So we appreciate everyone's effort all around. Thank you.
We have a question. What's a gimbal? Okay.
It's super hard to use.
That was great. Just threw me right under the bus, didn't you? The omnibus agenda.
The omnibus agenda is presented for a vote. Is there any item that the board would like to be held out, voted separately? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the omnibus agenda.
Motion.
Second? Second. Discussion? Please call the roll.
McCaig?
Yes.
Ware?
Yes.
Trent?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Wertz?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Rust?
Yes.
Action items. The 2025-26 academic calendar.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
I'll make the second, sorry.
That's all right. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
McCaig?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Ware?
Yes.
Wertz?
Yes.
Rust?
Yes.
Trent?
Yes.
The 2025-26 college holiday calendar.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
McCaig?
Yes.
Trent?
Yes.
Rust?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Ware?
Yes.
Wertz?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes. Student academic fees for the 2025-26 academic year.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
I had a couple of questions on this one. When was the last time that we increased fees? Do we know?
It was the technology fee. Oh, you want to go ahead? Yeah, you can. Yeah, like course fees? Are you talking about course fees?
Yeah, the fees that we're asked to vote on.
Yeah,
Yes.
you want, yeah.
So it depends on the course, but sometimes they tweak every year because the course, the book costs are included in some of the courses, and so those will go up or down. Sometimes it's a delay because, or a change because of what we include, like physicals. During COVID, we had to get N95 mask testing done, so then the course fees went up. So it depends on what's being layered in that course.
Okay. I don't see any that have gone down, and I was a little bit surprised to see that there were several that were double,
Went up
which seems
significantly.
significant to me.
And it's the cost of consumables, and then the cost of some of the testing. Some of the courses have now taken the testing that they do afterwards for certification and added that course to that fee to the course because financial aid could pay for it. So it helps students that are on financial aid get that test paid for at the end of the program. So there's some of that going on too, and there's explanations of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have any concern about the impact this will have on students, or?
We always try to do what we think is best for students, and sometimes that's building that in because, again, it makes things financial aid eligible. If we don't build it in, then they have to pay for it out of pocket. So, yeah, there's probably a kind of a give and take on that.
Sue, I think I always look at these things as being kind of a cost-based thing. I mean, we look at their costs, and if we have to raise them, we raise them. But the one that really jumped out at me, and I just realized it just now, that the preclinical dental hygiene, is that maybe a misprint? It was $244, and now it's $3,625?
Right. So those students had to pay for all their equipment. So they buy all their tools, all the things that when you go to a hygienist, they buy those separately. So they used to buy those items separately. WIOA, and we work really closely with the WIOAs, reimburse students for that if they're eligible. But they had a really hard time reimbursing them for their personal purchases. So when we put them all within the course, one, it makes it financial aid eligible, but it also helped WIOA reimburse us and reimburse the students for that. So it was one big, huge, instead of having all their purchases kind of covered separately that they had to have before the year started. By putting it in as one course fee, it makes it way easier for WIOA to reimburse us for that and for students who are eligible.
So this is just this is a totally different way of handling the costs
Right.
there. I mean, it's not specifically a big jump in cost for our students, right?
No, it's the
Okay.
same cost that all the students had to pay. It made it easier for sponsors and for groups like WIOA to incorporate it and pay for it.
And they also get to keep those materials.
Oh, yeah, they take all
When they
that.
go to the
Yeah, they
job
take
to
all
have
that
for
with
the
them.
kids. That's also common, I think, in welding and automotive where they might
Where they have to
purchase
buy
the
their tools
but
up
then they
front.
get to keep those tools, yeah. Yeah, but I would agree. I mean,
But that was a
it's a
huge
tricky-
one.
yeah.
But by doing that, it made it easier for the students to get it paid for.
Yeah. I mean, cost of materials are
Crazy.
a big part of it. I know when we were talking about this.
Donna, I remember we had the start of the truck driving school, we had what we thought was the cost. And then when we started the school, fuel cost us a bunch. And we had to adjust our tuition because of the fuel cost.
Yeah,
Right.
several $100s, and even truck maintenance, because we had a new truck. And that was great when we had a new truck, but once that truck started to get some mileage on it, then it was maintenance fees, and so we had to increase it for maintenance as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Please call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Trent.
The Decennial Committee Efficiency Report.
Oh, we missed one.
Missed the
Oh.
tuition, sorry.
I don't have it yet.
D.
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 Oh, 2026, I'm sorry, you guys. FY 2026 tuition and universal fees.
Do you have a motion? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Please call for the vote.
McCaig,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Rust,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes. Now the Decennial Committee Efficiency Report.
Do you have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
McCaig,
Yes.
Trent, Griffin,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Rust.
Yes.
A revision to our Personnel Policy 609, Protection of Minors.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
McCaig,
Yes.
Ware,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Wertz,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Rust.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Information items, Dr. T. Is there
Is there
you-
anything now? I mean, the only one I guess I'll just point out is that recognition report. There's quite a few on the recognition report. And so rather than going through all those, just appreciating everyone for the good work that they're doing. And I think that's again, another one of the initiatives out of KD3, and each of the team members receive a token, which really represents their great work and commitment. But other than that, no, those hopefully are self-explanatory informational items. So let me know if you have questions.
Leadership team reports?
Yeah, so I'll go through a couple of things with folks. Wanted to mention, I know in November, I believe it happens prior to the November board meeting, which is later in November, is we have 6 team members attending an assessment academy, which is part of, I don't know if I mixed my criterions up, 3B, is it? Or is it 3B? Yeah, so when we had our visit a couple of years ago, that was one of the areas that accreditation identified that we had to focus on. So 4 faculty, Dr. Sue and Tom, will head to Chicago for an assessment academy, which is part of the process of remedying what we need to remedy there. Toward the end of the month, I'm heading to, you typically go to a legal issues conference. I'm piggybacking, trying to coordinate some alumni visits in Columbus, Cleveland, and Indianapolis. This is all kind of teeing up to what we're hoping to launch in late spring. Softly, we call it, is a capital campaign for the institution. It will not just focus on main complex, it'll focus essentially across our 4 key directions to help attract investment into our strategic plan going forward and the strategy going forward. Also next month, we'll have Dr. Todd Dugan join us. He and I attended, Lewis and Clark was invited to be part of a P20 initiative with Bunker Hill High School. And so he and I are going to be presenting at respective board meetings. I'm joining him at his board meeting the night before, and then, or vice versa, and then he's joining us. And we'll talk a little bit about what that program is and how it can benefit Lewis and Clark. Essentially, in a very Reader Digest version, it's really helping students at a younger age identify career opportunities and then move through opportunities to connect with companies in the area, ultimately lead into Lewis and Clark, and then ultimately into a job. So we have a plan that we want to sort of share with the board, and also try to engage other high schools to work with us on that. I know Donna and Dwight were there. We had the Donors and Scholars annual dinner. I think it was Thursday or Friday night. I sort of lose track, but it was amazing. A lot of students, and again, a testament to our donors and just the team on the campus who support our students to kind of get to that goal that they need to get to. I think the number was about $165,000 were awarded this last year. November 13th is a big day. We have what we're calling the mid-year check-in for our strategic plan, and so Nick Anderson will be joining us on campus again that day. We're also folding in our broader leadership group. There are presentations that are being shaped right now. Nick has been working with key direction leads and sponsors, but we're going to take a look at what's working and what's not working. I'll also share some of that with the board in November, and then as we typically do, in May, we'll have our State of Trailblazer Nation, which will kind of pull the entire year of work together, both showing what's been working and what's not been working across the baselines that we're trying to meet. Some good news, and I'll share more of this on Friday when we do our competency-based ed check-in, but it's been a long time coming in trying to secure talent to support our faculty and the initiative going forward. So this last week, myself, Dr. Sue, Jen Fuller, have interviewed a couple of consultants that are going to be attached to developing our competency-based ed bundle, which the target date is March 31st. And then also a gentleman is going to be joining us to not only develop a competency-based ed orientation, but help us finish, and I told him today it's got to be done by February, is completing our early child care education program. That program was well on its way. Unfortunately, last year, the tragedy that hit that program kind of stalled it, so we'll have that program complete in early spring. It'll be deposited to the Higher Learning Commission for approval. Talking to the gentleman who leads those approvals said because it's early child care, because there's so much attention in that program, and because there are no programs that are taking on CBE, or taking early child care taking on CBE, feels it'll have a pretty quick approval. Once that's approved, any additional programs that we add to the competency-based vision won't have to seek approval, they'll just have to be acknowledged. But some really good momentum already this semester. Tom is the Higher Learning Commission, and I tell you his last name, but I always mess it up, Breckenridge, I think, or something, sort of like what's in Colorado, right? But he is going to spend about a half hour with us Friday with the full team, kind of talking about the accreditation role in developing these programs, and also sharing just his own wisdom, having been a competency-based ed faculty member, but also helping sort of just be a resource for us. And so we're pretty excited. We're also thinking both of the consultants we're bringing on board, as long as we can sort of get all of that scope with them sort of finalized, they'll also join us Friday to be introduced to the broader team. And then also related to CBE is Jen Fuller, myself, and Sarah Jones, a student. Brian Campbell will be heading to the Association of Community College Trustee Conference in a couple of weeks to present part 2 of our journey for CBE, talking about what's working, what's not working, and so we're excited about that trip as well, and we'll report back on that in November. Dwight and I, Representative Ellick and Senator Harris met today to, again, and Gabe, to kind of revisit and strategize more about how we can continue to get pressure on Capital Development Board as it relates to the timeline. I'm getting a meeting set up very soon with their new executive director who started several months ago. I don't know, I'd say I'm cautiously optimistic we can reduce that timeline. I also talked with Chris Chavetta today, and he is sending me an email. I'd asked him for some clarification, really for the benefit of the board and the campus, to understand the budget and how that works, so that there's clarity on that. And he's also offered to be able to visit with board members individually or anybody who has questions about really how that process works. And it's a pretty frustrating process, but you know, it's still moving, and we're pretty grateful with what we're able to get accomplished eventually with that project. I think that's it for me, but I just again want to thank the team, everybody who presented today for the great work being done, and just a lot of moving pieces, but it takes everyone to keep everything juggled. So thank you all, and thank you again. Yes. Oh, and Kevin has insisted, and I should have said this, I had it written down, we have to acknowledge Ron and his team for really, and it's written in here, several $100,000 reduction in the contract with Blackboard. You know, that was a 7-figure contract, and it's been reduced to about $700,000. So, you know, Ron has been doing an amazing job building his team and really focusing on how do we reduce costs in IT, knowing that in IT, there are always going to be a lot of costs. So thank you, Ron, and your team, and thank you for the reminder, Kevin. Yep. That's all I have. Thank you. Oh, and one more thing, Kevin.
Well, I wanted to ask you a question. I'm just really curious. How do you mentioned some alumnus visits, right? How are you identifying alumnus that you need to visit?
Yeah, so we are using a new program and technology, which actually, maybe I can have Debbie sort of talk about this next meeting, but basically it shows us clusters of where our alum are, and then we basically get their contact information that way and basically reach out. So and ask them to RSVP. We say, there's going to be a meeting here. And Debbie and I were in Colorado last month for basically a program to help us shape our capital campaign. And we met with a Monty in Denver when I was there. And we put something out. That person responded. And so, yeah. So we're trying to build that momentum because we've never done that before. And so I think it'd be embarrassing to try to find the email, but we have a lot of alum in these clusters. Indianapolis, we have hundreds of alumni. Cleveland, I think 80 or 90 popped up. Columbus, there's 100. And so we basically reach out to that group and just say, at this time, Dr. Trask will be here, and and I basically meet them and talk about the college and sort of reinvigorate their interest in the college, and then eventually, perhaps like has happened with some of our alum, one of them most recently in California, who left us a big percentage of her estate. But for me, if alumni are listening, don't not visit me because I'm going to ask you for money. This is really about building those relationships and connecting with folks. And it's been quite remarkable, especially meeting with a lot of the Montes who have this amazing passion for this institution, even though we're no longer Monticello College, we're Lewis and Clark. They just love it. And a funny story, and by the way, I keep in touch with all this. I recently got an email, and I'm literally about this long, from Carol. And you all might remember Carol spoke at our graduation a couple of years ago. She's, I think, going to be 89, and she says, I cannot wait to get back to campus when the main complex gets finished, because she remembers living on that 5th floor, and she just has such a passion for the institution. So, if anything, it's connecting people back to the story of Lewis and Clark and our history, and that's what it's all about. So, but it's a big effort, Kevin, and we're trying to, Shantea and Debbie are helping coordinate that. Dr. Chapman's involved in that a little bit as well. So it's been fun, and so we're going to keep rocking and rolling, and hopefully keep this working from an organic perspective. So. Yeah. Is that a good nod or yeah, all right. Thank you.
If there's nothing else, I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.